Hello, back again with the third stream of the day, and realising from my video I really shouldn't wear black when I do this, but you know, I don't suppose anybody's here to see me. It's just to make the video maybe slightly more interesting than just staring at charts. Anyway, so, new majors. I don't think it's going to be quite as quick as the last video on old majors, because I haven't really looked at them properly yet. So I've done a little bit of updates, but I kind of was just looking, I was looking in conjunction with the old majors that I just did, that I guess what's really hard, and what I find really hard, is buying at resistance, which other people seem to be a lot better at, thus catching the breakouts. So I much prefer to get in down here in the hope of a breakout rather than trying to buy at resistance, which never seems like a good thing to do. But then when I look at these, you know, BCH consolidated at resistance, pumped. Ripple hasn't got through the resistance yet. Litecoin again. So I guess when you look at this, Litecoin's tested all the zones before breaking up. In this case, Ripple hasn't tested this zone yet. I guess that's thus the anticipation of a pullback is more likely. BCH, I guess here tested the major resistance and then consolidated a long time, so that was more reasonable for a long, and also had the monthly demand, and EOS again had the really hard rejection off there but picked up support just quickly. So I guess if they haven't tested, they do tend to get the rejection, and then in this case of EOS it was just quick. And Ripple's quick, and Ripple hasn't gone much further. But so maybe that's the argument for Ripple going further. And then yeah, BCH and Litecoin had already tested repeatedly. So I guess when I look at the new majors, you know, BNB I was more bullish on anyway, as was I on Link, but neither of them actually. I mean, all the new majors are just annoying to me because none of them gave me the entries I wanted. But it is what it is, and also, to be fair, I wasn't as on top of them as I could have been because I was looking at all the other alts at the time these were sort of starting to move up. But again, they, like many things, just didn't come back down. I'm not at the entries here that I've got, like some of them I've deleted now, others are still in there, but yeah, so MATIC, initially I wanted a test of this daily at the bottom, which I didn't get. Then I wanted a test of this 5-day, which I didn't get, and then I wanted a test of this daily, which I didn't get. So you just sort of keep moving them up, and it's now got a monthly in quite close, which probably won't get tested either, or maybe it already has actually. Depends on when that was. No, it was 27th, 28th. No, it hasn't on the monthly, but it has. And some of them I'm also seeing they've been tested locally. Then ADA much the same, so ADA never made the low I wanted it to. I guess all of these have just been a lot stronger than I anticipated, but possibly foolishly, because like MATIC and Atom were the two that I was always more bullish on, that I said they were in the 6 monthly demands, which is why it's irksome not to have not got the re-entry on MATIC. Although it's given plenty of them. Like if on the 12-hour, I think most of these have given re-entries. It's just been on the higher time frames, it's been harder. So yeah, MATIC I was always more bullish on, along with Atom. Link and BNB I said were consolidating, getting ready for a breakout, so it was just the timing of that. And then ADA didn't come back to the lows that I wanted. But again, when I look at this, so ADA's retested, again, didn't even come back to this daily demand that I wanted in here before breaking out. So just annoying, quite frankly. BNB I wasn't really trying on because it was already so high anyway, and yeah, I just wanted that to come down there, which it just never looked like it was going to, and the same with Link, and Link was in, I think the BTC pair was in a 6-month supply, and I haven't looked back at that since, so I'd like to see what that's done now, but thus it's had the breakout but hasn't gone much higher, and it consolidated a really long time before, so I imagine that at this point the BTC pair's dropped probably significantly and maybe into a demand, which would probably align with that. So yeah, as far as are these going to go further is the question, I guess, that we've got to get to. Let me me look at the others first. So just doing the generic update at the moment. So DOT also, yeah, so 3 month demand, which I commented on, but had my entry at that point was lower in the 3 week inside the 3 month, but nope, held there, didn't come back for any re-entry. So you'd be excused for thinking I'm highly short biased here, which actually wasn't at all, but it just they weren't coming back down for any re-entries. And also I was hoping for a more significant drop in this middle section to be able to get the proper up move, which never came, or in most cases didn't come. Sol did call the entry, so this is now a monthly demand, but was a weekly at this point, so did call the entry, or did sort of say start watching it there. Again, my actual alert was a little bit lower and it didn't come back for that. There's a surprise. Near was the only one I actually got a firm low on it, so if anybody held, they did quite well on that, and then also actually Near gave the re-entry as well. But again, when I look at these, it's tested here, so I think it's tested here and dropped, so Near probably could have a bigger move still in it. I guess the other problem is, let me look back at the old majors again. So at this point, yeah, so EOS was under the 3 month supply, which is already hit, I think. Not in a major supply at the highs. BCH not in a major supply at the highs, unless I've now deleted it, which is possible. Maybe it was in a monthly. Should probably check. Yeah, it was in a monthly here, but had multiple months of consolidation before the breakout. And Ripple is in a monthly supply, and Litecoin wasn't. So Litecoin being the critical one, I guess, that wasn't really in any sort of decent supply at the highs. EOS was. So I guess I can't use that argument for maybe these rejecting here. So I guess they're more likely to break out, and Sol we've already seen the breakout here. I don't know what this fib is. Oh yeah, it was me just fibbing that if it was the top. Take those out. So Sol and Near were the only two that I really got longs on this. Probably the only mistake I made, I guess, was trying to do shorting in around here on the 22nd of Feb, or around the 22nd. It was on, yeah, after we'd had the February consolidation, trying to short the retest on that. And I guess because I was looking for a low, I wasn't looking for a drop necessarily, but I was looking for a lower entry. So while these did get reactions, not very much. That one on Sol was a bit later. Near gave a better reaction. Oh, actually no, Near that was a previous 5-day supply that I had an alert on, but when it came back through it. So supplies are still mostly working, but just getting very much significantly smaller moves if they're still in the existing consolidation. And I've seen that across a lot of the other alts as well. So again, I won't go into a massive detail on these, but let's take Turbo for example, because that happens to be there. That any shorts here on anything had been working. I didn't have one on Turbo because this had already been tested, but let's say that zone hadn't been tested here. On many other alts, I've had a short entry there, and these ones are getting very little reaction, and the market has been very strong. And I was hoping for a reaction to then take it back down into demand for that, but on most alts we didn't get it. In the case of Turbo, I didn't have one there. In contrast, like the ones at the top, so in Turbo is a little bit of a different structure. Oh no, it's actually not really, but this is still a daily up here. I mean, they vary. On the newer coins, you've got daily supplies and things at the top. And a lot of those are just breaking out, but on the older coins you've got monthlies that they're coming into. So now the waves have made new highs. These do seem to be holding and or at least slowing things down significantly, and I haven't gone through the full list in a massive amount of detail yet. This is a whole mixture of green and red going on. A lot of the meme coins, it seems, have got bigger moves today. Pepe community. Sats, Silly, One Cat, things like that are the ones I'm seeing with the bigger moves, and Luna. Maybe Luna's a better example to look at that actually. Okay, so yeah, this is an example of one. So this is hitting now a 2-week supply, but these ones are lower probability. So I guess what I've been hoping for on many of these is that we'd get this and then the move up, and the same on all the majors as well. and for the most part we haven't been getting that. We've been getting either that or no, I mean not really that, that's too dramatic, but more a little bit like low time frame, and then that with not even like, you know, if there's a daily or 12-hour in here being tested, but in many cases it's just consolidating for half a day or something and then going up to the next zone. So these ones are lower probability, and then the higher probability are coming in when we're hitting the monthly supplies above. So let me see, API 3 was one I noticed earlier. Like I said, I haven't looked. I've done my full February list of all the alerts. 245 alerts went in February. Another one of those charts which has added all my zones back on again. Keep all my previous alerts. I like to analyse where I've got them wrong and right. Although even that's pretty hard to some extent. So again, API is like a decent example. It didn't have the same sort of major structure, the major retest here. This has just been more of an up only the whole time, but you can see now we've hit monthly and 3 monthly supply above, and that's not on this Binance chart, but they exist. That's why I'm holding the 2 charts here, because so you can see there's the 3 monthly supply here on the Gemini chart. Come off 3 monthly demands. I mean, these are really very simple on the high time frames, and if you pick the cleaner charts, you know, 3 months demand, 3 months supply. So yeah, I put those levels in on the Binance chart. Well, actually it does show the 3 month on the Binance chart. I think it just doesn't show the monthly. Yeah, well, the monthly shows at the same level as the 3 monthly. It actually hasn't quite hit on the Binance chart, but has on this Gemini chart. It's gone into it. But we are seeing obviously a slight correction here at least. So while the market's still strong, so it's a little bit similar to how Link was, you know, when Link was an early mover and was the first to hit the monthly supply or whatever after its breakout, and then it just consolidated for ages until everything else caught up, and then it moved again. So at least we are seeing entries at these highs hold, short entries, but those ones on the way up are more likely to fail. I'm trying to find an example so I can see both. Okay, so here is a good example actually. Chart I haven't updated either. So yeah, this is a nice example. There's Wiki. Anchor again came down, so I had the short entry here, and I guess that would have been a weekly supply, 2-day supply. So in this case, some of them are weekly, but this is a 2-day supply in this case, and it's really only got a tiny drop off that level before pushing higher inside it and then consolidating for the bigger move up. And at that point then taking out the weekly supply. So things like this then are more likely, I've taken out entirely, I just deleted it, it hasn't really taken it out fully. But then these are the ones that are then going all the way up here. So it's then trying to find entries when they've already broken out, which I also find fairly challenging. Anyway, I don't want to digress too much from the new majors, but that's kind of why I guess I've been more quiet on these. Like they didn't, at least with the other alts, most of them came back to the zones I wanted. The 3 weeks, most of them had 3-week demands underneath, and at least most of them came into the zones I wanted for long entries. But then the majors were actually a little bit harder because they were stronger, or arguably not stronger. They were sort of a weaker push to start with, and thus didn't correct as much. Anyway, let's run through these quickly and see where we are at. Get to my correct list so I can look at the BTC pairs. New majors. So, BNB. It has a 6-month demand all the way down the bottom, down here. 3-month, I think I left the level in, but that 3-month hasn't confirmed, but may form a level of support, so I like to keep it in there. 2-month a bit higher, but I'll leave that. And then now we have a monthly, so it's got a new monthly demand there, and it's got the 6 monthly down there. So these ones in the middle can hold. but don't always. So your preference when you're looking for re-entries is always at the start of the impulse, but then obviously price isn't necessarily going to come all the way back down here before that move. It may, but if it's aggressive, then it might just come into here or even higher. But obviously worth alerts on those entries. One last demand, I will take out the if it confirms now because it has confirmed. As far as what we're doing at the highs goes, so okay, so we're in this sort of larger range, and we're now on the second hit of this monthly supply in the middle. So again, I didn't have a short. Oh no, actually I did have a short alerted here. The cross might be hiding behind here, or I've deleted it by mistake. So I did have a second short alerted there, just saying it was the second test of monthly supply. So it has gone up higher into it. It's taken out that wick, and now into this 3-day supply. So could see a pullback here, but obviously not showing it so far. 2 week, weekly. Okay, so I think that's like one of the other new majors. I'm going to move the alert up slightly because it's got a weekly demand on top. 1 week and 1 month demand just below. See, when you try and type fast, it all goes horribly wrong. So yeah, weekly and monthly demand there. If we get back for a retest, I also had a more aggressive retest here, which obviously hasn't got tested because the market hates me. And yeah, so it made a 2-day here and a daily, and it tested the daily and went off from that. So I guess I'll leave that in there, but my preference would have been for that to have been tested before. And again, like I say, on many of these now, it just becomes a little bit challenging that when you've got so many zones like this, like your preference is for the entry at the beginning, but it could bounce on any of these, and you're looking for the bounce and the consolidation. And we also tend to want to buy at a discount, so that would be the 61 fib or below. From a linear scale perspective, that's 340 or below, and log, that's around the same, 335 and below. So really, yeah, you are looking for the retracement into here, but that doesn't mean we're not going to get a bounce in the interim somewhere higher. So I think it's reasonable to leave that one anyway. Oh, excuse me. I think if we start coming down this low, then yeah, it's going to be a much more prolonged correction, and we'll probably, even if we get a bounce here, we'll probably hit the monthly before anything else happens. So I'll leave that alone for now. Yeah, so you'll see here that I did have this to watch at the start of the monthly supply for the possible short entry, but again, only a very tiny reaction over a couple of days, and now we pushed higher into the zone. And then we've just got all this chop on weekly levels up here. Don't know if I really want to. I don't really like stacked demand or supply like this, but this stacked supply. Because you do sometimes get a reaction off the first one, but also quite often you can push to the top one, or the furthest one. So again, it makes it, because the furthest one is the one that propelled the start of the down move. But anyway, if we do come through this monthly zone, I'm probably more inclined to be looking for longs on this than shorts. But yeah, so there's nothing I want to short on this particularly at the moment. You can short this if you see something on the low time frame, but it's not necessarily a high probability zone because it's a second hit. We'll look for longs on the 2-day here if it comes back there, and on the monthly if it comes back for a bigger correction. BTC pair. So I did have an alert. It hasn't quite touched the level, but I did have an alert for this 3-month supply here. And that really has just coincided because BNB pumped before Bitcoin. It's really just coincided with the Bitcoin pump that's knocking this down rather than BNB actually doing anything. No 2-month. I'm tried. I got very close to making a 2-month supply there. I'll just put the level in just in case it messes around that level a bit. And this really, like I always wanted lower on this. But again, still in this local downtrend, it's broken support there. Okay, it's kind of tried to regain the range, but hasn't managed it. So yeah, I would probably want to see this drop lower down to the weekly or down to this 3-month down here. So what that means in terms of the US dollar pair, let's just which means BNB is weaker than Bitcoin, so either they both go up and BNB just doesn't go up as much if this drops, or means that if they both drop, then BNB is going to drop more, which I suspect is probably the more likely scenario. Or maybe I'm being too harsh on BNB. I think it's just a big coin, so it just doesn't have the... It's a lot harder to move this than a lot of the smaller alts, so then people become less interested in trading it because it's just not moving very fast. But obviously it's in this macro giant range. And where are we in the range? So yeah, we're up at the 61% of the range now. So yeah, this is certainly somewhere I'd look for a decent size correction. So yeah, won't be looking for longs on this, even if it does go up more. So again, like the others, I probably just want, like the old majors, I just really want a bigger retracement on this before thinking about taking any longs beyond a scalp. It's just ticking up, and you know, it can keep ticking up, maybe it will, but that just doesn't mean I want to jump in a long on it. So that's BNB. Link, I imagine, is going to be pretty much the same, although it has tried to break out, but again, it's typically slower. It had a long consolidation here, so potentially might move faster. So it's typically slower, but obviously it's not always slower because it has had huge moves in the past. Let's go back to the log scale, so I'm not so biased. Very, very long consolidation, obviously, so I certainly expect this to break out the highs in the long term. But again, it's at the 61 fib retracement. You know, there is no reason that this couldn't fall all the way down to here, and still be, sorry, not as low as that, but you know, coming for a test before that happens, and wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. But let me see if this has made a new monthly demand at least. As you can see, it's got 3 week and 2 week in there. What is the 2 months doing? We should really still do that video on how I draw my zones and things, because there's probably people who are watching this who have no idea what I'm talking about. So there's no new monthly demand in there. It's got this 3 monthly down the bottom, which already got tested and hence propelled the up move. So I guess once we got over here, you know, you've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months of green on this. So how can we not expect it to have some sort of retracement? I know it's crypto and things can keep going forever if they want to, but it's now also in 3 months supply. It did have a wick into 3 months supply on the immediate retest, so possibly it can come higher into the supply. So I'm going to put another alert up here just to show the 1 month level. On this, but again, not something I really want to long at these levels. So we've got the 3 week demand in there, which I've already got alerted. Well, it was a 1 week when it was a 1 week. And change that, so 3 week and then 1 week demand. So looking for a bounce in that zone if we do get it. If it takes out the zone, it's a 1 day and 3 day below. So again, what we can see on some of these is when you have a range like this, if it does reject, it might come down, try to bounce off the top, but then take it out before a bigger move. So it's always worth alerting if you've got a zone of a reasonably high time frame below. So in this case, 3 day and a daily in there, worth having alerts on those. As well, I don't necessarily think it's going to come all the way back down here. The chances of it taking out the longs in that consolidation are fairly high. Just from the way crypto sort of operates. Trying to see if there's any similar, not exactly the same, but sort of similar-ish structure here, except it swing failed the top of the range, there it came, and then take out the lows of the range rather than just bouncing on a new demand here before going up. This is slightly different because it has broken out. It's not a swing fail at the top of the range, but and arguably maybe it's already a swing fail at the high, swing fail below on this wick. But just whether we see that on the larger 3 week. Anyway, cross that bridge when we come to it. If for a start, the initial alerts there on the 3 week. yeah, the longs, and there's also potentially a new weekly demand in here as of tomorrow as well, which I will alert for anyone, because I know a lot of people like trading Link, even though I'm not necessarily. Again, risk to reward just isn't great. I mean, you can see you can trade this on the weekly with your stop below the weekly, but if it does get held up in any of this supply up here, then it's not a very good risk to reward. Alternatively, you can just ignore supply and put your stop below the weekly, or you wait for the weekly alert to go or to get hit and then see what happens. See if it's makes a lower time frame demand to get in with a tighter stop, etc, etc. This unfortunately also confounded me a little bit on, so I had a trend line alert for a trend line break here, which broke out a little bit and then failed dismally. I had an alert on the 1 hour under here, because for the same reason as I said before, that again we can sometimes come through this zone into the lower and then move up, but my alert didn't quite hit and it didn't quite take out that zone, it just took out all the wicks from here. So that wasn't very helpful. And then I had an alert on the 2-day supply here, because I think it's still worth looking for shorts when you're in a 3-monthly supply if you do see a solid zone. And so we got a wick and it went almost to the top and possibly tapped a swing fail there, came all the way back down again. So it did have a decent drop kind of just after that level, but again just straight back up again, and the market's just too strong at the moment. Take out that trend line. So let me see, daily, 3-day, 2-day, daily. So there's that daily demand in there. Probably going to have a weekly, 12-hour on top. I'm just tossing up whether to put the alert on the daily demand a little bit lower, or just be more aggressive. And there's an 8-hour in there. I think I'll just set the alert higher and then we can just see what happens when we get there. So again, just alerting here. What's this one? Wait, demand confirms. That's that. Take that up there. And then just see what happens. So what are we in at the moment? We're in a 12-hour supply or something up here. Yeah, just a 12-hour supply. Look at the structure. So again, this is not as yet a significant breakout on Link. You can see here that it's quite similar. It's made 3 hits to the high before coming back through all the demand. So I mean, maybe that entry would still work. But then let's see if this didn't have a weekly. Kind of it did sort of have a weekly, but not a great weekly demand in there. But certainly, yeah, it's come, yeah. So it did have a 3-day, had a 3-day demand at the top and a 3-day demand down here, and it's just come straight back into it. So that isn't necessarily the highest probability, looking at the previous structure, and not unless we see a really decent move on this weekly. I'm a bit nervous on that actually. I'm tempted to delete it now. Let me see what the Link BTC pair is doing. Okay, so as I said before, we'd hit this 6-month supply. We've hit it actually the second time, and it's also got a 6-month demand. So a little bit between a rock and a hard place. And now, yeah, monthly supply in there. So yeah, no, I'm not looking for a long Link anymore. I take that back. So it is a week. So I mean, this is just a choppy range really on Link. It's 6-month demand, 6-month supply with very little space between the two. So I've actually moved it between that line and this line. Oh, sorry, but not even between this line and this line. 6-month demand, 6-month supply. So it makes it sort of somewhat indecisive. And I guess the bigger picture is still up, but that doesn't mean it's going to take off anytime soon, given we're looking at a 6-month chart. 3 months, 2 months. So again, the 2 months still looks okay, but that's really just from the last couple of days. It's only a couple of days of move here, and it's still holding the 6-month level of support, which again is nice. If it can consolidate through here, then yes, certainly could take a bigger move. But then when I go to the monthly and I see we've got this monthly supply immediately above here, that doesn't make me want to look for longs anytime soon. And yeah, I don't know, it's tested this level, it's tested this level, so we just need to see whether either of those picks up a second test, or again, whether we get something like that that's going to run all the way through this 6-month demand. That's overly, not ambitious, that's not the right word, overly presumptuous, I guess, at the moment. You know, we are in a range, we're in the support of the range, but yeah, so I want to see what happens when it hits this monthly, and or there's 3-day at the top here. But yeah, simply by virtue of the fact that we're very, very close to that monthly, that makes me not really want to long the link US dollar pair. Like, unless, if I see this breakout much higher, like if this closes all the way up here, then the week after tomorrow, then I'd be more inclined to have this long here, but for now I'm not gonna do that. Probably means you'll see it bounce there and go immediately up just to spite me. But I guess we'll see. It's not the best weekly demand anyway, but there is a weekly in there should you want to look for a long on that, or on the 12-hour, you know, just use the smaller time frame and see if you can get a 12-hour bounce that even just takes you up to there. That is up to you. Other than that, I'll leave the long for down here. But yeah, if the link BTC pair is weaker, I'm less inclined to long this. Excuse me, just let me sort out the heat situation. I'll sit here with the window wide open so I get cold. Okay, so that's a link. Where are we? 6:30. I'm going 30 minutes, but I did talk about it at the beginning. Just try and speed these up a little bit if I can. ADA held on to this monthly level here as support, didn't get back to where I wanted it to, so okay, so most of these have come back into this 3-monthly zone, so it wasn't unreasonable to think that it was going to come back there, but it didn't. Now also has that monthly demand like everything else. So I've got the level, clean this up a little bit. So we've got this monthly demand in here. Is that brown or am I hallucinating? No, it is brown. I've got that monthly demand in there. Then we had, what have I got here? I've got a 3-week supply and then the monthly. So again, I'll look at the BTC pair in a minute and see whether that one's just a little bit too close or whether I should move it up for here. But yeah, this is certainly worth an alert for monthly. So you can see I've had multiple alerts on this that just aren't hitting to spite me. 1 month demand, so I'll put the monthly. So just be aware if you're setting your own alerts or if you're in my group and you're getting these alerts for the monthly, obviously be aware they're large zones. So while I'm setting the alert at the top, it doesn't mean it's going to bounce off the top. And as we saw in the earlier BCH example, you know, BCH really likes to come almost back to the bottom before moving. So I put the alerts there, but then we need to see the state of the market as a whole, whether they're ready to move. And also many of these cases now we're going to have a weekly, or we do have a weekly already sitting on top of that. So could even pick up more aggressively. But I'll leave the alert on this at the monthly anyway. So the only thing with ADA, so in the bigger picture, again, just really would have liked it to hit down there for that proper test, but I guess then when we look, there was a zone here that didn't get tested, but then it did have a zone there which got tested, whereas this didn't. I guess this has tested this flip level. Yeah, I suppose it's quite a clear SR sort of flip level there, whereas I don't know, it's still a bit higher. It's just picked up the bottom of that monthly as support, which happens, but I don't like it much. But then I don't have to like everything. So we've got quite a similar structure here, but it has picked up a weekly demand in this case, but it didn't come back and test the low. In this case, yeah, perhaps it's just held onto the top of that as support and moved up again. So again, if this is to follow, we're going to see some consolidation through here before the bigger move. but at the moment this still has space to supply. So this is something that still you can probably go in for longs on, unless the BTC pair says otherwise. And probably more aggressive longs would be okay on this, like even if I don't want to wait for it to come all the way back to my weekly level, end up in completely the wrong place. Maybe I put 5 day by mistake, yeah. So again, I'm going to move this slightly up. 1 week, then 1 month demand. So when these hit, it just really depends on how hard the market is falling. So if if we have a slow move down into here, then it's more likely to pick up the top. If we have a hard rejection, then we're more likely to fall much more deeply into the monthly demand. But I just have to see when the alerts go, because if I wait for all of them to come back here, then I'm probably never going to get entries. Okay, so then we've got a 12-hour on top here. So again, given this isn't really that far off, I'm going to just leave that alone rather than, but there are obviously higher entries, so you can come in on this 12-hour if you want to scalp this. Might make an 8-hour later. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a scalp entry potentially off the top of here on the lower time frame. Which I think might be worth putting in because it's the weekend actually. Let's just stick another alert there. Yeah, and just in light of the fact that this is, at the moment, only in a 3-day supply, and it could potentially push higher to this 3-week or to the monthly. I thought I was on dot BTC then for a minute, I was throwing myself off entirely. Okay, yeah, and then I also did have this alert go for ADA. So again, this was nice confluence for being able to get into an ADA long on the US dollar pair, even using the BTC pair. See what Bitcoin's doing again. But yeah, this certainly, I'm going to get some chop in here, but this certainly has some space to supply and it's hit a decent demand. So yeah, I'm much more comfortable looking for longs on ADA, given the view of this. Putting in the 6 monthly demand in there. 6 monthly demand, it's come in, it's tested, it's gone up to 2 monthly supply, and now it's back down, testing. Ideally it would have tested the monthly demand, the 2 monthly demand in there, but it has tested this weekly, 3 weekly in fact. Yeah, so I'm much more comfortable looking for longs on this, in light of the Bitcoin situation. Still think it's kind of interesting, I guess, that these haven't moved at all. Like, this is looking much more bullish than a lot of the others that I've looked at. So does this mean ADA is just going to suddenly have a massive takeoff and go to the moon? Or hi Crypto Hammer, and you're welcome. Yeah, I don't know if the ADA is just going to suddenly have a massive takeoff, or does it mean again Bitcoin's going to drop? Because I only say that because Bitcoin's up so much. So I guess either Bitcoin's really going to go up a lot more, and then ADA's going to go up a lot more, and then ADA BTC is going to go up even more, or ADA's going to do its own thing, which seems unlikely. But yeah, I guess we can only cross that bridge when you come to it. ADA actually has in the past done its own thing, so it's entirely possible that something will happen such that ADA is going to take off on its own. But in light of the BTC pair, I'm going to remove that alert. I'll put it at the monthly supply. So yeah, if you are looking for longs on this, be conscious that we are getting into a 3-day and then a 3-week supply, but that we have a bit of space to the monthly. But just be conscious of that because yeah, you don't really want to ideally be longing into supply, but then also they're not necessarily strong supplies, and I still think this has space, and the BTC pair still tells me there's some room on this. So that's ADA, and then we have MATIC, which is the bane of my existence. Yeah, so I've spoken before about this sort of giant triangle that we're forming. We had 6-month demand there, which has been tested, so I really do expect this to do reasonably big things. Had a decent move off that 6-month. We came and we've already tested the 3-month supply up here. I need to hide some of the crosses and things on this so I can see what I'm doing. Again, so yeah, in this giant range, second test here, on the verge of breaking out of it. It's a bit of a meme triangle actually. I realise I've got the whole entire wick through it here. Yeah, I like this from the fact it's hit the 6-month demand. So while it can, you know, in the worst case scenario, it can always come lower inside the 6-month demand, and I really wanted it to come back to there or there actually. But it's bounced slightly higher than I wanted it to, like not even on this monthly level here, but very close to it. And now has a new monthly demand, so this is definitely wanting an entry for that. Concerns me slightly, I have crossed that, but no actual entry. So I hope when I refresh the page there isn't one hiding 1 month demand. But yeah, certainly worth watching that if it comes back for a retest, and it looks like it's not the strongest monthly demand, I have to say. That's the only thing to be aware of there, that there's a monthly demand, but this candle hasn't closed significantly over, so again, could come back much deeper inside the demand, but I want to be more aggressive on this because of that 6-month zone that we've got below. 3-week, 2-week, weekly, so there's a weekly level down there. 5-day near the bottom, well then, so the weekly demand here actually, so there's weekly demand and 5-day demand at the bottom that hasn't been tested. It's going to make a new weekly demand here tomorrow, barring a crash tonight. So again, yeah, this is something that it pains me because we are right in supply, so it does. This is what I mean. So when I say this, they sort of pain me if to long in supply just pains me. I want a long in demand, but then also I don't want to miss things that are already in supply. We've got a short alert up here and 1 month supply at the top. Again, not the best 1 month supply. I wouldn't be surprised if it went through that as well. In fact, I don't really like that at all. Wick. I'll leave it there for now and we'll just see it assess when we get there. So we've got a 3-week underneath. Yeah, so from a high time perspective I really like this. I think this is one of the strong ones. Just hope it comes back for an entry, at least on even an aggressive one at the top of demand, or you know, failing that, deeper in the demand. Again, like other things, I'd really like to see this break out before coming back for the test. Again, you can look for an entry on the weekly. As you know, it may not come back here now it's done all this mess on top. But while we're still so close to the highs, I'd rather wait. Either get the proper breakout and then the retest, or just have to miss it, if that seems to be the thing to do. But yeah, so yeah, we've got a whole load of chop and mess through here. Quite nice, because this didn't throw much of a wick when Bitcoin dropped. Yeah, I mean, I'm not really loving the fact that it's even going to come back here for an entry. But there's too much chop for me to really be overly confident. So I don't know, I guess if you're trading this, so that's the first interest point really is 1.03 up here, where you've got a 2-day demand. The problem is that then it's what other people are looking at, I guess, for entries. If we then have the weekly level a bit lower and the monthly level a bit lower, they may still fall inside the 2-day demand, which they do. But then you might have a spread of orders through here, so I don't want to say have an entry right on the top, particularly coming off a possible swing fail of that high. Now, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, Yeah, I'm going to leave that there, but I'm going to disclaimer it. Right now, barely breaking the last high. Not sure this isn't too aggressive on the top, because I still think, I don't know, there's just something in this that makes me feel that we could drop down into here before the move, if we don't get any further than here. So i.e. if this can go up higher before coming back for the test, I'll be more confident of that. But if this just rejects kind of now-ish, then I'm less confident. I mean, it's starting to move, or it's moving as I speak by the looks of it, so maybe it'll just go. But yeah, just also with this, all this supply right above, I don't know. It's tough. It's one of those that I'll probably go say that, but then I'll come back to it a day later and it'll be all the way up here, or my alert will go and I'm like, okay, that broke out then. I'm just not great at buying breakouts. I don't do well on breakout trading, because whenever I try and break out trade, it decides to fake out. So for example here, I'd be like, oh, it's broken out at this high, and then it would come back and stop me out before moving, or it would just say screw you and double top and dump. Or same here, I'd be like, oh, it's broken out, and then 2 seconds later it rejects and drops back down again. I just always seem to pick the lows when I try and break out trade. But yeah, the other thing on this is I don't love the chart, but we do have a weekly and monthly level there, so I think it's worth the alert. And then if that hits and rejects, then I will look somewhere in here, but I'll probably be more conservative and go right down the bottom. Failing that, we've got this daily down here, which didn't get tested. BTC pair, interesting. So it's coming to a daily demand there. But yeah, 2 months supply immediately above. It's a big 2 month supply, so I guess it can also go a long way back into it if it wants to. I haven't updated this chart for a while. Take some of those out. So oh, it's not even a. Shouldn't have done that. It's not a confirmed 3 months, so it probably is a 3 week there. So we've got the 2 month, monthly. Yeah, so we had a 3 week which got tested, pushed lower. So we are at the moment looking at a swing fail of this low, so again, could be bullish, but like, is it ready? Not 100% sure. My alert was slightly lower, but that doesn't matter. But yeah, we just need to see this start moving, and then again, big potential for a big move on that. If it can get through this 2 month and not care, which is possible, or even if it can just come up higher inside the 2 month. That would be good. If this does it, it's not a swing failure on the monthly, it looks better on the weekly. But again, if we just need to see this start moving through here, and then we can be much more confident of longs on MATIC and the MATIC US dollar pair, and then again potentially that massive significant breakout which could happen when we like really go to high prices. Which just feels very weird saying that in crypto. We've lived through too many bear markets. It's interesting though, like some of this can look significantly bullish on the macro. Just needs a bit more time. But yeah, so I guess again back on this, yeah, we're just looking for that monthly zone to hold. So if you're a macro trader on this, you know you can use the monthly, but you need to have your stop all the way down here. But like I said, bear in mind it can go very deep into the zone. But I am certainly bullish if this monthly holds for a really big move up, and the BTC pair I think supports that. It's just a question of how long is the timing, how long this is going to take. So yeah, that is MATIC. I don't think there's anything else I want to add to that. Already made a 4 hour demand there, which is used to bounce off and go. But again, yes, so it's just too much in supply. Really, I want to see this come down a bit for a proper retest, and or just break out properly above this wick but then we're going to go straight into this consolidation up here. Yeah. So that's why I say this is my challenge for looking for longs on all this stuff. You know, when I can see that we're right in supply, I'm just very, very reluctant to assume it's going to break. But then other people seem to just be longing and not caring about any supply and doing better than I am for being bullish anyway. Having said that, you know, like I said, I'm happy with my waiting for things to hit proper demand before trying to FOMO, even if I do miss the larger moves that way, because I know eventually it will. And that undo. I know eventually it will come back, but the problem is, you know, is it going to go up here before it comes back? Yes, possibly, and then I'm too late. But like I say, in this case, I didn't manage to get the low there. I did call it a few times as coming off the 6-month demand. You know, it did hit repeatedly. So from a macro perspective, this was a really good like investor trade. But from a micro trading futures perspective, it just didn't really give the perfect entry from the way I trade. Although I do know actually somebody else in my group traded this and I think just longed in here. Not sure whether the stop was below the low or not. And then that, you know, again, that would have been fine. But for me, I just can't do that when we're just coming off supply. And in fact, I wanted the entry there and just didn't get it. Anyway, that's MATIC. So that's those 4 done. New alerts on. So Link I was reluctant because of the BTC pair. BNB I've left the alert down at 358. All of them have the 12 hours that you can enter if you want. ADA was probably the one I would be more inclined to enter slightly more aggressively. All of them again have the monthly demand for you to be able to look for longs on if we get a bigger drop. Just be conscious the monthly demand is a big zone and we could potentially go deeper into that zone. MATIC I want to like, but the structures just make it a little awkward for me. And Link again, that weekly demand, but I just think with the BTC pair it's not worth considering at the moment. So none of these I would really be looking for shorts, but then none of them are at levels. Link I want higher. MATIC I think can go a lot higher. They're either at level, they are at zones, but they're also either weak zones like ADA or not at or at second tests on major zones. So like MATIC, on a second test of a major zone. Link is in a 3-month supply. So again, happy to look for shorts, but the market isn't ready for that yet. And BNB is in a monthly supply as well, but it has a second hit. So yeah, none of them I really want to look for shorts right now. And ADA's probably the one. ADA's the only one with an aggressive long, and then the others all have longs either slightly lower on the monthly demands. So that's that. Then on to Dot, Sol, Near and Atom. So Sol, the joy of Sol, 6 month, 3 month. So we've got a 3-month demand down the bottom which didn't get tested, and a 2 month just above that, or a monthly just above that. So my perfect entry would be at 23. The only other thing that's going to be quite nice here is you know, so we've got this monthly demand, still in monthly supply, and I don't know what people are just longing Sol to the bitter end, but it hasn't really moved much since the initial move, but a lot of people were just longing it through this consolidation constantly at the top. I say at the top, it's not necessarily the top obviously. So we look at Bitcoin starting to move it a little bit more again. Rather slow. So I had this, yeah, so I already talked about this alert that I had on the daily in there. 3 week, 2 week. It's a while till the 2 week closes again, so all these structures are really looking very similar now, aren't they? So we've got a weekly demand setting on top of a monthly demand in many cases. Don't really know if I need to check that on all the other ones actually. It wasn't really. So Sol I think more likely to bounce off a weekly demand in here. It's not going to be ideal if it swing fails the highs, but I'll put that for the more aggressive entry. So 1 week demand. yeah, what I was going to say is that, you know, what we are seeing, so if we do end up, we could end up with a structure here where we get a swing fail of the highs, if this, you know, this push doesn't last, or if we get the come down into here and bounce on the weekly or the monthly, can't break out again, go through here, flip this to supply and drop. So we could get some really nice short entries if that happens, but until that happens we are bullish. But we are in monthly supply, so I'm still not ruling that out. But for now I'll put the long entries on the demand 1 month starts inside, and then we'll just see if that breaks through, then it breaks through. So we've got the 3-week level as well, which is going to confirm. So this is going to confirm a 3-week and a 1 week at that level. So running through all the time frames to see what we've got. Daily. So yeah, like I say, I didn't quite hit my daily demand here. There's a daily just inside this, so I think that's a perfectly reasonable place to 1 week demand, one that starts inside. No, it's not really inside, it's at the base. Starts at the base. So again, just need to see the aggressiveness with which this comes down. If it comes down just softly, then we could potentially look for a bounce right off the top. If it comes down hard, it might take a wick into the monthly. Worst case scenario down here. If the zone is going to hold this daily at the bottom. And then hopefully we don't get a scenario where we swing fail the low, swing fail the high, and then drop. Sort of alert down there. I'm going to delete that for now. So that was the 3-day that I wanted to get tested previously, that never got tested. We managed to get a few long entries in on the way up, but then I've just been more short bias being in monthly supply, but obviously the market's stronger than I thought. There's another poor short there, although again it got a blip down straight into the daily demand and then went off again. Just wasn't watching it at that point to be able even to look for the long there. And then there's a possibility this just holds. So again, you can look for a long here if this holds on top of this orange line, on top of the breakout, and just wants to move from here, then you can start looking for longs even immediately. Failing that, we're looking at this weekly level down here, presuming it confirms. But even if it doesn't, it has a daily in there, so that'll be where I'm looking for potential stink bids. I like that little trend line there with the deviation below it. Sol BTC pair. So 3 months, 2 months. So again, I think that circle's just me highlighting where I would have liked this to test. 2 months demand down there. But never got back there. Could still get back there though. Interesting, so this might create a 3-week supply here. Has already rejected a 2-week above. So again, this is kind of telling me now actually that Sol's not really ready. Because with that rejection, I expect this to drop down into here. Thus Sol being weaker than Bitcoin. So I guess again it hinges on whether Bitcoin's going to go up or not. Now, if Bitcoin goes up at this point, then there is still the possibility the US dollar pair is going to go up, just not as much as Bitcoin, and have this fall a little bit, at least down into here. Or Bitcoin comes down and just comes down. Chart. Bitcoin comes down and then Sol just comes down more. Thus, I don't love it. I just want to be aggressive because I guess the market's so bullish at the moment. So if I see a decent level, even though like, so it's not really, I think things aren't really there for me on that Bitcoin pair. I mean, yeah, arguably, I guess on the lower time frame, it's come off the lows. It's just that, you know, the rejection here of this 2-week supply first, and then followed by the likelihood of making, if we don't make 3-week supply, then I'll be more confident of this. But if this confirms a 3-week supply as of tomorrow, can't close above here, it's already come off, that's a, you know, a larger weekly, and there's a whole load of supply in here, so this for me would have been a great short entry. The only thing countering that, I guess, is the wick coming off the bottom of there. You can see a similar structure here, I guess. But yeah, so the wick hasn't closed it below there, so it's not necessarily strong supply, but a bit dubious of that if it hasn't hit support. Again, like I say, over here it did do have a similar structure, but then also had support through this previous candle. Similar here, I guess, but then just didn't get much higher. I'll leave it for now because I know, like I say, everybody's super bullish on Sol, but just be a bit cautious. And be cautious anyway on all of these, you know, they're very high up to be looking for longs. You know, the time for buying to hold was down here, not where we are now, but now you can buy for the possibility of significant continuation or breakout trades. But yeah, give it a bit of time, we'll see what happens when the alert goes off. What next? Atom. Running out of steam a little bit now, I have to say. I'm tired. So I might kind of lay off the detail of the Bitcoin pairs and all that. I don't know if I'm capable of doing that. Monthly demand here. In monthly supply, but it's hit it multiple times, so I'm going to take that off now because I'm pretty much, I can't do that. Not take it off entirely. So the main thing on Atom is it hit 6-month demand, so therefore I was bullish on it, but it didn't give me entries that I wanted. There's a surprise. Now I've got a monthly demand, so I'm going to move an alert up to here, and I hope it comes back for me, and I hope it doesn't flip this monthly demand. I just hope I hope I don't put all these in and then have them all flip in a couple of weeks' time if Bitcoin decides to dump. Fingers crossed. 1 month demand. So again, supply's been hit enough times, I think, to think if this does come back down here, that we're going to get a decent move up. I don't have an alert on that 3-day up there, but frankly with the 6-month I'd be looking for this to probably potentially go all the way up here if it's going to move. But I am, yeah, fairly bullish on Atom and MATIC, although MATIC's a lot messier than this, although maybe I'll find mess once I go onto the lower time frames on this. 3-week level going to confirm in there. 2-week weekly, is it going to be a weekly? Oh, this is nice, at least there's a weekly at the exact same level as the monthly this time, so thus negating the need for me to try and choose which one to use. But yeah, so that's really a level, so we're looking at the 10.58 level as a fairly critical and interesting level if we get the retest. My concern, I think, was that this wick that we had already, I hope that just isn't the retest already had of that level, just on lower time frames, because that is possible, that it's just picked this up early, and the fact it's on the 28th as well, when we had a leap year this year, makes me think, you know, that were people already looking at the monthly early? Knowing my luck they were, and I'm just going to miss the entries again. But yeah, more bullish on this, 6-month demand below. Certainly look for any longs you can get in on this. It's kind of, I guess, what I would think here. While I don't love the chop and the supply up here, I don't know if it's going to move fast, it is Atom, or slow. And then you've got a more aggressive entry on a daily up here, should you wish to take it. But for now, I'm going to leave the alert down here, but I'm going to try and keep an eye on this if I can. And see... FTT alert there. I'm going to try and keep an eye on this and see. I just don't like these weeklies with the big wick below, like it could retrace some of that wick if it wants to, so I'd rather just wait for it to come potentially a bit deeper, because we are still in possibility of a double top here. But from a macro perspective, I'm definitely more bullish on this, and then even more so now we're breaking this trend line. So we're looking for the macro play on that if we can get it. So that's that. And Atom BTC, yeah, also hit my alert down here. So a little bit like more like the majors charts here, that we've got this 3-day supply incoming. So hopefully that's not going to knock us back. So we've got a 2 month, sorry. So I guess we're looking for the follow-up here, like on the, I can't remember which other ones now, like I said, I'm just a bit too tired now. I don't really need an alert all the way up there anymore. I think that was just if we got the 6-month hit. The 2 month will be the big major sticking point here. This obviously is not looking overly bullish, but we have hit, and so we did, well, we swing failed the low here. We're coming back for, and we had a decent move off it, and we're coming back for the retest of that level. So, and it's, yeah, it's a 3-day level, so it's reasonably okay to look at a move from here up being the start of the range. But that obviously is then going to mean our US dollar pair again. I don't know, maybe we're just going to see Bitcoin ranging now, and then the alts really make some big plays here. I mean, there's certainly some ugliness. So the macro, obviously, well, the macro on this is obviously very ugly. We've had months and months and months. So this is a 3-month chart, and we've had 18 months of downtrend here. So we need to see some green put in to think we're going to get some months of all-season uptrend. We have a 2-month supply to contend with, but this is a decent place to start looking for longs on the BTC pair. I know maybe some people are even trading the BTC pairs, but you can certainly start looking for longs. Ideally, once it's broken some demand here, you should have some time, she says, unless this happens. But this is a lot more chop in supply, so just keep an eye on this, because I think this is potentially a really good play. And normally I hate Atom, but yeah, Atom's starting to look like a really good macro play. So that's that, and near did I say about the entries on Atom? Oh, gone on the wrong chart again, so it's got all the old things, so I was going to have to leave my OCD alone. I'll go back to it at the end, actually. Near again, 3-month demand wasn't tested down there, still in 3-month supply. Made a new monthly supply. Promise I'm going to go and clean up all the crosses off these charts now. I just leave them so people can see the entries that previously I've given, good and bad. Some are lovely, near the decent one, and some are not so lovely. Okay, so we've got new monthly demand in there now. Again, not strong at the moment because we haven't broken the highs, but still worth watching for long entries. Alert. 1 month demand. Create another one all the way down there. I'm going to delete that off for now to save the alerts. So that's 1 month demand in there. So yeah, definitely looking for a test for a re-entry on that if I get it. This did, like I said before, already gave the re-entry on the 3-day in there. Didn't test these lower levels. Always a chance it comes back for them. Might make a 3-day demand in here. What was the weekly again? No significant weekly in there. Might make a 3-day, but I've got another day for that to close. Likely to make a 2-day here. So again, a little bit more like some of the others like MATIC and things, just a little bit of chop going on. So it could come off higher, may never come back for me. But yeah, I think I'll just keep that there for now. Again, given we're right in supply. But this is looking decent. So while it didn't come back from the monthly level, at least it tested a weekly here. It's in monthly supply, it's a second hit, so it's tentative. But now we have a monthly demand below, so really I'm looking for the test on that monthly to hold. Don't really want it to go deeper inside, otherwise it's going to take more months. But if we're going to genuinely be continuing the bullish market, we're going to look for a bounce off there, and then I'm going to look for it to take us all the way through all of this. And I will set an alert up here for 2 months supply. Hello. Did I not set that, or did it just not? It's not liking me at the moment. Why is it not sending alerts for me up there? Problem is sometimes it does this and it will set them, but then it won't tell me it's set them, and then I look back later and I have like 17 alerts all in one place where I've been trying to set it repeatedly. 2 month supply up here. So again, macro perspective on this is good. Get a nice bounce here at the lows on the monthly demand, so yeah. Come back down to monthly demand, made a new monthly demand, hasn't come and tested that, so that, yeah. So again, there's sort of 2 options here. Again, I'm looking at on most of these alts, we come back, we test this monthly and we go, or we break through this monthly, we come down to here, reject this monthly, and then hang out here for God knows how long before the next move up. And I know some people are proponents of that. US dollar dominance could see that happening. But yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So for the, at least in the short term, I'm looking for that monthly to hold for a bigger move up. If I don't see that, then we've got a double top and the whole market's different. That's that. And then, yeah, look there. See, it's now set all the alerts later, so now I have to delete them all. Kill me. Again, also hit my alert here, although didn't quite hit the level. But yeah, I reasonably like the look of this, and I like the look of that for near longs. Timing is just more the critical thing, so is this gonna go soon, or are we just gonna consolidate here for a lot longer before going? But yeah, near's looking promising. And then finally, DOT. I didn't look at DOT yet, did I? So DOT, I commented at the beginning, you did come off the 3 month demand in here, just again slightly more aggressively than I wanted. Because of these double candle 3 month demands, I wasn't really alerting on top of them, I was alerting inside. So most of the, more of the other alts, the non-majors, came back to these 3 weeks inside those zones. But in this case, DOT did not. This also has only just created a monthly demand there. But I still kind of like this. This again is a solid. These alts are much more solid plays, I think, actually, than the majors at the start. So again, another alert here on monthly to see what the 3 week, 2 week, what on 3 week. So I'll put these 3 week levels in. I like to have all the levels, even if I don't trade all the levels. Then at least if I know if I'm being front run, I know why I'm being front run. Weekly, 5 days. There's a 5 day just inside this. So again, yeah, this is a pretty decent. Again, assuming it comes back. So there's a 5 day and a 3 day, a 2 day. So I'll put the alert on top of the 2 day in this case, I think. If it does slightly front run the level, or if that test has already happened on the lower time frames on the 28th, just to be awkward. What this, obviously something I was hoping we would come back for down here, but we haven't. Okay, so I'm going to put the alert on top of the 2 day here. So yeah, I'd be looking at around the low 8s for an entry on this, either the 2-day if we're being more aggressive, and again just being conscious that we haven't broken the top yet. This is a weak monthly demand, still in monthly supply, but looking fairly likely it's going to break. Ideally it's not going to break before it comes back here, but you never know. So that's that. Then to the highs, just very old stuff up here really. I haven't even updated my lines properly. 2 months, monthly. So yeah, really I'm just going to put that monthly supply in, just because I'm trying to be quick in the interest of time now. Really again. Interesting. So it's putting the alert. Oh, I've got the alerts hidden. That's why. Ooh, that would be why. How do you? There we go. Alert lines. That's why I can't see it, because it's not there. Hold on a sec. So I'm going to put this a little bit lower. 3 week. And 1 month supply. I want these up here. So you can measure fibs and things to be slightly more accurate on these, like I say, because I'm just charting so many things. I don't want to, be fibbing everything. You can fib this and see where the 61 falls as to whether you want to look, alert yourself for the 3 week, the monthly, maybe even up here. But again, this looks over like a very solid play on dot. Very much liking the look of that now. But just would really like it to come back for that test for me. I'm going to do these videos and then they're going to all spite me by not coming back down. But let's hope. Here's hoping. And .BTC, let's see what that's doing just to check it's not going to scupper my plans for being bullish. 6 months. Oh yeah, I really didn't like that yearly. I don't really like these last couple that have broken below the yearly. 2 months. I'm going to throw a 6 month level in there just to be able to watch it. So obviously it's an unconfirmed 6 months, but can act as resistance if other people are looking at that level, if it coincides with anything else. So in this case, actually, it does coincide with a monthly, so I'm going to change that to a monthly. So the monthly here, obviously, we've had a swing fail straight through it and come back below. So it's possible, take these off because they're going to run through. It's possible when we come back to this, we're going to reject. So again, this isn't looking great yet. But like, what was I looking at? Atom and Near, I think both of them. Atom was the one also at the lows. So while, other people just buy things willy-nilly at the lows, I kind of look at the bigger downtrend. But being back at the lows and back at the low of the range, there's no reason you shouldn't be looking for long entries. And obviously I had the initial, there's a 3 week level there. That I was looking for the bounce off initially, but it's gone deeper inside that. So there's still some resistance to get through here. We still do have a weekly supply, but it's been ahead a few times. But again, you can use this to sort of figure out what you want to do on the US dollar pair. That if this starts moving up through here, I guess we'll see at that point. This is already going to break out. But yeah, those both are in reasonable confluence for looking for a move up on dot. So that's all the majors done. So a quick summary of all of them, if I can remember. Let's go down to the lower time frame. So again, I think all of them have that monthly demand, all of which I've alerted. I'll do a quick written update in the Telegram chat as well. So I can check I'm covering everything off appropriately. So monthly demand, dot, come back down here to the lower time frames, monthly demand. Oh, so the alerts on the 2-day on dot. Sol, it doesn't have the monthly, but Sol is on the weekly. So the risk on all of these is that they have yet to break out. If they break out first, then obviously these zones are much more viable and much stronger. All of them are also in monthly supply, so that makes it somewhat more of a risk. So there is still the possibility that these all double top and drop. But the better longs, so Sol I think was the only one I didn't like the BTC pair. The better longs are on Atom because it's coming off 6-month demand, DOT coming off 3-month demand, and both of those from a BTC pair looking like it's bouncing at the lows of the range. And then near BTC also looked very nice, and near also not much supply. So all of these have a lot of space. So DOT and near are the better two for having a lot of space if it does get through this supply. So they're the more solid ones. Atom's just a bit more choppy and messy, but Atom's got a 6-month demand. So again, all of these are sort of significantly bullish. If we can break this second hit on the local zone is going to break. Perfect world, it doesn't break. I actually really don't want this to break. What I want to happen is for this to come back down now and give that entry in the monthly demand first and do like a triple consolidation in here before the move up, because if they break out now and just go straight up to resistance, then it's just annoying and painful. So what do we have? All the monthly demands, and then DOT being slightly more aggressive, weekly demand on Sol. Short side, short up at weekly supply, and then all the others have a massive gap. So I don't know for short and nothing on Atom. And then those I think much more bullish than, so BNB and Link I think on that basis, like with the other majors are much better plays than BNB and Link that have already moved so much. ADA I think is still a decent one, and MATIC I think off the 3-month demand is a decent one, but it's just messy and choppy. MATIC's more like the others. So yeah, hopefully that helps. Hopefully we can get some retests. You know, if you're going to trade these, pick the ones that are stronger. And again, back to the only disclaimer on this whole thing is this that I've talked about in the last 2 videos today, but I want to reiterate now. US dollar dominance, this is in 6-month demand. If this wants to bounce here and it's still thinking about it, it's broken the trend line, but we're a weekend and it's not really doing anything significant. If this wants to bounce here, then this really can go a long way, and then potentially all those alts are going to break monthly demands. Anyway, that's my disclaimer for the end of the video. Hope that's of some help, and trade safely, use stop losses, and remember the monthly zones are large, and particularly use the US dollar dominance chart to help like you on the high time frames like really figure out what this is doing, what the market's doing. And I hope that's useful. Have a good weekend.